Back to Autism Live. We regularly on the show like to feature autism experts, and today I don't want to get rid of this water bottle. We're not advertising them. We have with us Candice Pogge, and Candice is an amazing practitioner. And Candice, how many years have you been with CARD?
10 years.
10 years. That's a long time. And you recently just changed roles. You had been a regional manager, and now tell us what your new role at CARD is.
I moved into a clinical manager role, so I'm just going to be overseeing one center and working closely with that team.
That's fabulous. And which center are you going to be overseeing?
I'm still figuring that out. Right now, I'm up in Oregon, and so I'm helping a lot of our new supervisors get going. But
okay.
TBD, to be determined.
All right. I have a preference, so I'm sure you do too. But let's compare notes later. I have a particular center that I would like for you to be at, but for very specific reasons. But anyway, so Candice, we had some questions for you, and I swear I have them here. I had them a second ago, and then I don't know what I did with them. Yeah. You have the questions too, though, right?
Yes.
Apparently I didn't pick up the piece of paper I thought I did, but I don't have the questions in front of me. So I'm going to ask you to read the questions because I am ill-prepared. I have the wrong pieces of paper. So what was the first question I sent you?
The first question was, is it too late to start a child on ABA if they are 9 and nonverbal?
Okay.
And I think it's never too late to start ABA. There's always something, usually multiple things that we can help individuals and their families with. How old the individual is and where their needs are will dictate the type of ABA program that they receive. For a 9-year-old that is nonverbal, we'd most likely be looking at a focus program for them that will focus on developing a functional communication system, independence and day-to-day life skills. This would likely include leisure and play skills, any missing feeding and toileting skills, and social skills to start, along with addressing any behavioral concerns. All this is individualized and dependent on the needs of the child or individual. However, to answer your question, it's never too late to start ABA.
There are a lot of people who will tell parents these really definitive things like, oh, your child is too high functioning for ABA to be worth your time. And that just makes me break out into hives. And they'll say, oh, your child is too young, or your child is too old, or your child is too social, or there are all these things that people pull out of nowhere that have no truth to them, no relevance. It's amazing to me that, and of course parents, these are experts, or so we believe, and we end up listening to them. And it isn't until later that a parent will find out, oh my gosh, my 9-year-old could have been having ABA therapy and they could have been helped with all the things that they needed to be helped with. So I love that this parent actually reached out and asked this question, and I love your answer. It's never too late. It's never too late. Look, if there were funding for it, ABA would help me, right? I mean, this is the truth, right? If there were funding that I could get ABA therapy, it would help me so that they would have worked on the executive function skills that I needed to have the right piece of paper here on the desk, and then my life would have been improved. And the product that I would have turned out would have been improved, and it would have been better for me. ABA is the most efficient, most effective teaching tool there is. That's not coming from me. Studies have proven that. So there is no age at which ABA is no longer useful to you, and there is no ability at which ABA is no longer useful to you. So when people start saying to you things like, oh, your child is too fill in the blank for ABA, I think they're saying, I don't think that somebody wants to pay for that. And I would let your funding source decide that. And then I wouldn't let your funding source decide that. I would tell your funding source that your child needs it, right, Candice? Anyway.
That's right.
So what was the second question we had?
Okay. Oh, sorry. I lost it. 1 second. Got distracted. The second question was, I am waiting to start services with CARD. I have completed all my paperwork, and now I'm just waiting to start. What can I do at this time to be productive? I am 26, and I will be the client. Well, welcome. It's very exciting to have you joining our adult program. While it shouldn't take very long for you to get started at your local center, in the interim, I would recommend coming up or trying to come up with a list of priorities that you would like to discuss at your intake appointment. Write down any areas of need that you have, as well as your areas of strength. All of this will be very helpful during your initial meeting with the intake clinician. Also, if you're looking to really get ahead, you could start the very thorough assessment on Skills for Life. You should have received a login for Skills when you received your intake appointment. And if you can't find it in your email, you can reach out to skillsbookhelp@centerforautism.com and they can find it for you. While the wait should not be long, if you are feeling that you cannot wait for services, maybe you're having anxiety or emotional self-control issues, I would recommend reaching out to your primary physician and getting a referral to like a counselor that can provide you some support in the interim.
Wonderful. And I do want to say, because time is relative to everybody, time and money, I think, are the two things that are relative to everybody. I remember when I was young and just out of college and I was living in New York City, and I went to a doctor and who gave me a prescription, and I said, oh, how much is this going to cost? Because I had no insurance. And he said, oh, it's like super cheap. Because I said, can you fill it generically? Oh, it's super cheap. Then I went to the pharmacy and it was $75. And to me, as a new student, I mean, that's still a lot of money to me for a prescription, right? But it was, I couldn't get it. I couldn't order it. And I went back to the doctor and I said, what do you mean $75 isn't much? And when we say things like time, it shouldn't take too long. In the realm of things, Candice is absolutely right. It won't take very long to get started. But when you're sitting in the middle of it, sometimes it could be a month. In extreme cases where there's funding issues, it could be as much as 3 months to get started. CARD tries really hard for it to never be that, but that 3 months can feel like an eternity if that happens to you.
Right.
So, I love that you gave some advice for what to do in the meantime, especially if they're having anxiety. And I absolutely love if you are an adult taking that skills living assessment, and if you are a parent of a child who's waiting to start, you have to get the skills assessment done before they will start you. And it's something that takes a great deal of time and you have to pace yourself, but it's really productive, well spent time. Okay, Candice, what's the third question?
The third one is, my youngest child screams in the car. I have 3 children, 2 with ASD. I feel so bad for the one who isn't. It's never about her. What can I do to stop the screaming? So there are a few things to think about in this situation. If you are receiving services, I would absolutely consult with your case supervisor on this issue. This is something they can help you with. They can help you develop a reinforcement system and an intervention for your children that are struggling with being in the car. If you are not in services yet, I would recommend trying to identify the why. Why is your child screaming in the car? Do they want your attention? Do they want specific music? Do they want to continue engaging in what they were doing prior to getting in the car? Do they only want you to go down specific streets? Do they struggle with transitions in general to where getting in the car is an uncertainty for them and causes them to be upset? There are lots of reasons that this could be, which is why it's kind of hard to make a recommendation without seeing the situation firsthand. But my initial thought would be to develop an activity schedule for the child in question that would outline the flow of transitions surrounding the car. For example, having a picture of whichever activity they were doing prior to needing to leave. Then maybe a picture of shoes and jacket, then a picture of the car, and then a picture of where you were going to. And having this available to the child throughout all of these transitions so they can see it. Another idea would be to develop a reinforcement system for appropriate behavior in the car. This could get tricky if there is only one parent and 3 children in the car while also needing to implement the reinforcement system, which is why I would recommend consulting with your BCBA if you have one. But identifying a reinforcer that is strong enough for your child to inhibit screaming during the car ride. That ideally you could deliver at your destination. You might have to give constant reminders initially, and probably spend an afternoon or 2 just practicing this with short 2 to 3 minute drives that you can control and stop, get out of the car, and provide the reinforcement to the child so they understand what the contingency is. Lastly, in regards to your child that is not on the autism spectrum, I would look at having a special reinforcement system in place just for her that rewards her for being patient and understanding with her siblings. That way she's getting attention from you and is not left out. I would also encourage having her be a part of picking out the reinforcer, so that way you know it's something that she really would like. And also, I would try to plan a special activity for you to do with her, maybe once a week or once every other week. I know schedules are usually maxed for our parents. But that way it's something that just you and her are doing, and she gets to have all of your attention. Doing something like that will help her feel special, even though you have to divert your attention to her siblings a lot of the time.
All great advice, Candice. It's one of the reasons why I was excited to have you on the show. I know you have good answers. So thank you so much for all that you do at CARD, and congratulations on your new role, and we'll look forward to hearing which center gets lucky enough to have you. So,
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure talking to you.
well, believe me, we're going to be asking you to come back. You did a great job. Thank you so much, Candice. Happy holidays.
Thank you. You too.
Bye-bye. So that was Candice Pogge.